I'll pull current weather info to ground this in something realistic for the upcoming weekend. It's Friday, July 17th, 2026, and something very big is developing this weekend across a huge chunk of the country. We've got over 50 million people staring down a serious, severe weather threat. We've got dangerous heat that refuses to let go of the southern states. And we've still got the fallout from that catastrophic flooding disaster down in Texas that's not fully behind us yet. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. The headline story for this weekend is a potent, severe weather setup taking shape across the Ohio Valley and into the mid-Atlantic for Saturday. And I want to be upfront with you. I'm watching this one closely because the ingredients are lining up in a way that has my attention. Right now, the Storm Prediction Center already has a big chunk of the Miami Valley and surrounding areas under a level 2 slight risk for Saturday, and I would not be shocked if that risk area grows or gets upgraded as we get closer to game time. We're talking about Dayton, Columbus, and points further east toward the mid-Atlantic, all being in the crosshairs. Here's the setup in plain English. A cold front is going to be sliding through the Ohio Valley on Saturday, and it's running smack into warm, moist, unstable air that's been sitting in place thanks to the heat dome we've been dealing with. As that southwest wind picks up speed through the afternoon and evening, it's going to help clear out some of the wildfire smoke that's been filtering the sky, and once that smoke thins out and the sun gets to work, the atmosphere is going to destabilize in a hurry. That's the recipe for strong to severe thunderstorms firing up ahead of the front. Now, the main threats with this one are going to be damaging straight-line winds, and I'm talking gusts in excess of 60 miles an hour in some of these stronger cells. That's enough to snap tree limbs, take down power lines, and leave thousands of people without electricity, possibly for days, if this ends up being as widespread as some of the model guidance suggests. On top of the wind, we've also got a flash flooding concern because these storms are going to be dropping heavy rain. And if they train over the same areas for any length of time, we could see 1 to 2 inches of rain, maybe more under the heavier cores. Please, if you come up on a flooded roadway this weekend, do not try to drive through it. Turn around, don't drown. That phrase exists for a reason, and it saves lives every single year. The threat doesn't just wrap up Saturday night either. As that front continues to sag south and east, the severe weather danger is going to spread with it, and we're already watching a secondary risk area open up for Sunday down toward the Carolinas. Charlotte, Raleigh, Columbia, you guys need to keep an eye on the sky as well, because leftover instability combined with that boundary draped nearby is going to be enough to spark up more clusters of strong to severe storms. And look, I know it feels late in the summer for a tornado conversation in that part of the country, but midsummer severe weather down there is absolutely a real and documented thing, so don't let your guard down just because it's July. Let's talk about timing, because that's what everybody always wants to know. By Saturday afternoon, we should start to see the atmosphere really wake up across the Ohio Valley as daytime heating kicks in, and that cold front continues its approach. The Miami Valley and points nearby are going to be right in that first wave, and I expect scattered strong to severe storms to develop, with damaging wind gusts being the number one concern. As we head into the evening hours, the front itself is going to sweep through, and that's when we could see any leftover cells consolidate into a more organized line, which tends to be more efficient at producing those higher-end wind gusts. If you've got outdoor plans Saturday evening, whether that's a cookout, a ball game, or just sitting out on the porch, keep a weather app open and be ready to get inside quickly if a warning gets issued for your area. Now, I want to circle back to something that's still unfolding, and honestly, it's heartbreaking. The flash flooding disaster across Texas Hill Country over the past several days has been catastrophic. And while the heaviest rain has finally started to shift west toward the Big Bend region, the recovery down there is going to take a long time. The ground was so saturated that even small additional rainfall amounts were triggering new flash flooding on top of already record crests along some of these rivers. If you know anyone in that region, check in on them. And if you're traveling through Texas this weekend, especially anywhere near the Hill Country or Big Bend, stay alert for sudden runoff even after the rain has moved through, because these creeks and rivers can stay dangerously high for days after the waterfalls. Let's shift over to the heat story for a second, because this is a two-sided coin this weekend. Up across the northern plains, that brutal heat dome that's been parked in place is finally starting to break down, and that's going to bring some relief to places that have been baking under 100-degree heat for what feels like forever. But don't get too excited if you're down in the southern tier, because dangerous heat is going to stick around across the south and southeast right through the weekend and likely into next week. We're talking heat index values that are going to make it feel well above 100 degrees in spots. And that kind of heat is not something to take lightly, especially for kids, elderly folks, and anyone who has to work outside. Now here's a wrinkle that a lot of people aren't thinking about. As that northern heat dome breaks down and winds shift, It's also going to help drag another round of Canadian wildfire smoke down into the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. So if you've got asthma, COPD, or any kind of chronic breathing issue, keep an eye on your local air quality index this weekend, because that smoke can make outdoor activity rough even when the temperature itself feels comfortable. Before I get further into the weekend outlook, I want to take a quick second to thank today's sponsor, because honestly, this is something I think a lot of you could actually use. This video is sponsored by ZocDoc. You know how it goes. You need to see a doctor, but the whole process of booking feels like such a hassle. You call, you get put on hold, and then you find out the next available appointment is 3 months away. ZocDoc fixes that headache by letting you search and compare local in-network doctors all in one place. They've got well over 100,000 providers across hundreds of specialties in all 50 states. You can read real patient reviews and browse detailed profiles before you ever pick up the phone. My favorite part is that you can actually see real appointment openings and book them instantly with a couple of clicks. Most folks are getting in within 24 to 72 hours. And sometimes you can even snag a same-day appointment. Best part, it's completely free to use. So if you've been putting off a doctor's visit, head over and get it scheduled. Thank you so much to today's sponsor for making videos like this possible. Now, let's get back into the forecast. Looking further out into early next week, that shortwave energy responsible for our Saturday severe weather isn't just going to disappear once it clears the mid-Atlantic. Longer range guidance shows another disturbance dropping into the upper Midwest and Great Lakes by Monday, then pushing into the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic again by Tuesday. So if this weekend's storms miss you, or if you get hit and are wondering whether there's more coming, the unfortunate answer is yes, there's a chance we're looking at a repeat performance just a few days later. Be watching that trend closely, and I'll keep you updated as the confidence builds or fades on that one. Down in the interior west, we can't forget about the monsoon season either. Showers and thunderstorms are going to keep firing up across the desert southwest, and the greatest flash flooding threat there is going to be focused near the southern borders of Arizona and New Mexico. If you're out hiking slot canyons or camping near dry washes in that part of the country, please check the forecast before you head out, because monsoon flash floods can turn a peaceful afternoon into a life-threatening situation in a matter of minutes with very little warning. Meanwhile, out across western Montana, we've had some strong to severe thunderstorms popping up thanks to a subtle shortwave riding along the edge of that upper ridge. And a similar setup is going to keep some isolated severe potential alive across the northern Rockies and adjacent high plains into the weekend. It's not the headline story, but if you live in that corridor, don't be caught off guard by a strong wind gust or some hail out of what looks like just an ordinary summer storm. So let's bring it all together for you. Saturday is the day that has my full attention, with a serious severe weather threat setting up from the Ohio Valley into the mid-Atlantic, bringing damaging winds as the primary concern along with a flash flooding risk layered on top. That threat then slides south into the Carolinas for Sunday. Meanwhile, the heat is finally breaking in the north but staying locked in. Across the south, wildfire smoke is going to filter back into the northeast, and out in Texas, the flooding recovery continues even as the heaviest rain shifts toward the Big Bend. It's a lot to keep track of, I know, but that's exactly why I do these breakdowns for you every single day, so you're never caught off guard. If you take one thing away from today's video, let it be this. If you live anywhere from Indianapolis to Washington, D.C., treat Saturday like a day where you need a plan, not a day where you find out the hard way. Have a way to get warnings, know where you'll go if the sky turns ugly, and don't let a good afternoon outside turn into a bad night because you weren't paying attention. That's all the weather talk I've got for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you slap a like on this video if you found it helpful. Subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss the updates as this weekend threat evolves. And I will see you in the next one. Stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.